Have you ever, thought about how people overcome like really huge personal challenges, but still manage to do amazing things,
Yeah.
leave their mark on the world? Well, today we're going to kind of dive into that. We're looking at a bunch of stories about people, pretty remarkable people actually, who lived with essential tremor.
Yeah, it's a fascinating area to explore. Essential tremor, for those who maybe aren't familiar, it's basically a neurological thing where you have involuntary shaking,
Hmm.
rhythmic shaking. It usually affects the hands the most, but can also involve the head, other parts of the body.
Right.
And we don't always know the exact cause, but we do know it's a neurological disorder, and it can be, it varies from person to person how severe it is, and it affects people's daily lives in different ways.
Yeah, for sure. And the stories that we're looking at today, these are from Tremor Today. And we're not just trying to understand the condition itself, but also like how did these people actually live their lives and have these incredible careers in spite of this condition? So hopefully, listening to this will give you some new ways to think about resilience and even maybe how you approach challenges in your own life.
Definitely. It's really about how these people didn't let this condition, become who they were. It didn't limit what they wanted to do.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with someone I'm sure everybody knows, Katharine Hepburn.
Yeah.
She's a true icon, like a legend in Hollywood.
Oh, absolutely. And the information we have on her, it really highlights that she had essential tremor throughout her entire career, which is amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, and she achieved so much. I mean, 4 Academy Awards for Best Actress. Nobody's ever done that. And what's interesting is the material we were looking at, it mentions that her tremor actually became more noticeable later in her career. It really makes you wonder how she was able to give such incredible performances, especially those that required such intricate movements. With that going on,
Mm.
like, do we know if she had to adapt things on set because of the tremor?
That's a great question. And I think what's really remarkable is that even though it became more visible, it never seems to have held her back. Her spirit, her determination, it was always there. She just kept performing and captivating audiences. It would be interesting to see how someone, especially in film, which is so visual, how she adapted as her tremor became more pronounced. Like, did she start choosing certain roles, or maybe they had to use different camera angles? Did her acting style maybe subtly change over time? Figuring those things out could really teach us something about, creative problem solving.
Yeah. She's such a powerful example of resilience. She just kept going, kept achieving no matter what. Really makes you think about how we all create our own limitations sometimes.
It definitely challenges how we think about ability and success.
Yeah.
Here's someone who's at the top of her field, achieving incredible things, all while living with something that could have easily stopped a lot of people.
Right, exactly. Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk about someone a little more current. Rob Mallard. He's known for being in that British soap opera Coronation Street.
Yeah, he's a very recognizable actor. And he's been open about having essential tremor. He came out publicly with it back in 2018.
Yeah, and from what we've read, he's been really honest about the tough parts of it,
Uh-huh.
especially the social stuff and what it's like to work as an actor with a visible tremor. It takes a lot of guts to be so open about it.
I agree. The sources really emphasize how honest and brave he's been. It's not easy to talk about something so personal, especially when you're in the public eye like he is. Makes you think about how much courage it takes to be that vulnerable.
For sure. And it seems like it's made a real difference. Like,
Yeah.
by him talking about it, it's raised a lot of awareness about essential tremor. It's so important to have people like him who are willing to be open about it.
Absolutely. And what's also really important is that he hasn't stopped acting. He's still out there, giving great performances. It's a great example of how you can have essential tremor and still be successful and do what you love. And it's inspiring to others who might be going through the same thing. It changes the whole narrative. Like, essential tremor is one part of who you are, but it doesn't have to be everything.
Yeah, totally. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about someone whose work has brought so much joy to so many people, Charles M. Schultz. He created Peanuts, Charlie Brown and Snoopy and all those great characters.
Yeah, another incredibly talented person. And think about it, he had essential tremor and he was a cartoonist. That kind of work takes so much precision, drawing those iconic characters and everything.
I know, right? You need such a steady hand to do that kind of detailed work. And what's amazing is that his illustrations, they never lost that precision or their expressiveness. He just kept creating these wonderful stories and characters that resonated with millions of people. I wonder how he did it, how he kept up that quality of work.
It really speaks to his dedication and his incredible talent. It makes you think about how he adapted his process. Maybe he figured out ways to keep his hands steadier or found ways to use the slight shakiness from his tremor in his art, almost like turning it into part of his style.
It's a great reminder that we can overcome obstacles, you know? Just need to be creative and keep trying. He's definitely inspiring.
For sure, it really challenges the idea that if you have a physical limitation, you can't be creative or successful.
Okay, now let's talk about someone from history. John Adams, the second president of the United States. This one is really interesting.
Yeah, what we found is that recent studies and historical accounts, they actually suggest that John Adams may have had essential tremor.
Wow, that's pretty wild when you think about everything he did, you know? He was so important in the founding of America, fighting for independence, and then helping to shape the government. It adds a whole new layer to how we see him.
Absolutely. And if it's true, what's really striking is that the sources say it didn't seem to affect his thinking or his ability to lead. I mean, imagine all the debates he was in, the documents he wrote, the huge decisions he made during such a critical time.
I know. If he was dealing with essential tremor on top of all that,
Yeah.
it makes what he accomplished even more impressive. It shows how you can have personal challenges and still achieve incredible things.
It's a reminder that even people we see as these like larger than life figures from history, they were still human, you know? They had their own experiences and probably struggles, just like the rest of us.
So when we look at all these people together, Katharine Hepburn, Rob Mallard, Charles Schultz, John Adams, what are some of the things they all have in common?
Well, I think a few things really jump out. First, resilience. Each of them faced a challenge and found ways to keep going, to not give up. Then there's determination, that unwavering commitment to what they loved and what they wanted to achieve no matter what. And then there's the fact that they all made such big contributions in totally different areas. It shows that essential tremor doesn't limit you to a certain path or tell you what you can or can't do.
Yeah, that's so true. The material we looked at, it makes it clear that these individuals, they didn't let essential tremor define them. They found ways to adapt, to work with it, and to ultimately succeed in their chosen fields.
And for the listeners out there, what's so powerful about these stories is the message of hope. You know, whatever challenges you're dealing with right now, these examples show that it is possible to chase your dreams and make a difference.
It's all about focusing on what you're good at and what you're passionate about, and not letting limitations hold you back. And if you are living with essential tremor or know someone who is, tremor.today, the site where we found these stories, it's a great resource. They have articles on dealing with everyday tasks, understanding the condition, and it seems like a great place to connect with other people who are going through the same thing. Having information and support can make such a difference when you're dealing with any health issue.
Totally. Feeling like you're part of a community and knowing that other people understand what you're going through, that can be so empowering.
So as we wrap up our look at these incredible lives, here's something to think about. Thinking about Katharine Hepburn's unstoppable spirit, Rob Millard's honesty, Charles Schultz's continuing creativity, and maybe even John Adams' quiet strength in the face of whatever challenges he had, what obstacles in your own life are you maybe underestimating yourself about? What could you achieve if you focused on your strengths, like these people did? Could it open up new possibilities you never even imagined?
It's a really powerful question to consider. These stories remind us how incredibly resilient humans can be, and they show us that if you're determined, you can pursue what you love no matter the challenges. We really hope you'll think about these examples and how you can apply that same determination and ability to adapt to your own life.